Well, it's going to be the theme of this main card. I mean, just to get into the next fight, Tresean Gore is one of those guys, right? I mean, his last fight, I think everyone thought that they were getting one over on the sports book by taking him, I think, around like minus 150-ish against Cody Brundage, right? I know I was victim. I believe Kev was victim. I think all four of us may have been victims of that one, right? So
Yeah.
we find ourselves in a spot here where he's going up against someone in Josh Fremd, who you can make the argument he's in the UFC only because of a short notice opportunity. He raised his hand and he got that opportunity. Now he finds himself minus 175 against Tresean Gore, which I find a little bit interesting because we have to sit here and somewhat ask ourselves, right? Did he do enough against Fluffy Hernandez to warrant being minus 175 in the UFC? He did an excellent job getting out of submission attacks from Fluffy Hernandez, who has shown time and time again that he will sink those on majority of the division, right? Just with his relentless pace and takedowns. Fremd was able to keep up with him on short notice. He lasted the full 15 minutes, and he was able to get some nice reversals of his own on Fluffy Hernandez there. So the question becomes, is that enough to justify minus 175? Because this is an emotional game, right? And a lot of us who had Gore last time, we really want to fade him, especially now against someone like Fremd that's gonna take him assumably to deep waters, drag him down, take him down again, rinse and repeat. Seems to be his entire style. It's tough for me to bet on this one. I don't necessarily lean one way or the other. I do think Gore has that same one-touch knockout power as Roundtree that we just spoke about in that last fight. Is it enough for him to get the job done? Because we've seen him be hesitant. His last fight, he did a decent job up until the point where he got caught and eventually finished on the ground. But, it just seems to be a theme of his career where he's just a little bit gun shy. He doesn't want to gas himself out. Maybe he doesn't want to be in exchanges with return fire. Who knows what it is, but it's hard to trust a guy like that when you're betting on him. So for that reason, I don't lean a certain side on this one. Maybe I lean over 1.5 a little bit just because I know Fremd is going to be going for takedowns, and I know that Gore likely is going to be gun shy. I believe the 1.5 over is, somewhat around even money, if I remember correctly. And if I had to play this fight, that would probably be my only lean. But Dan, I'd like to hear your takes on this one.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with your take on Fremd going for takedowns here. I mean, I think he's going to try and strike with Gore. I mean, why wouldn't he? It seems like Fremd, that's what he wants to do if you look at most of his fights. And again, you got to look at kind of where the market has placed him. This guy was like over a 2-1 dog against RoboCop in his LFA fight that he got. He ended up getting knocked out in the first round. I was watching that fight. Right? What did I say? Yeah, he was a favorite. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean, that says something. I mean, obviously he got finished, but again, RoboCop. It seems like this guy's name is coming up more and more every week. You know, we've had a fighter that fought him that's either beaten him we're kind of using him as this measuring stick, which is kind of interesting to see. But what I don't like about Gore is, I mean, a couple of things. Number one, I mean, for starters, the guy has no chin. He seems like he can't take a punch. And when you're getting knocked out by Cody Brundage, you got problems. And he seems so confident in his fight build-up. He seems to be the kind of guy that needs to like puff his chest out and really try and intimidate his opponent. And it just seems like it backfires on him every single time. And you got to think that, back up against the wall, 2 finish losses in a row. Gore is going to have to come out. He was looking good in his last fight. He was starting to land, and he does throw with big power. I don't know if I can put my money in him right now. I mean, I lean Fremd here. I actually think this is a nice spot for him. He took that Fluffy fight on short notice, got taken down 8 times, and it's tough. Fluffy has a solid grappling game, and he was able to kind of control that. I think we're not really going to see the third of the takedown here, so. I think Fremd can find Gore's chin and 3 finished losses in a row. And bye Gore. Like, this guy does not belong in the UFC if he loses this fight. That's for sure. He'll have a 3-3 record. Kind of wild that he has this much notoriety with the kind of record that he has, to be honest. I lean Fremd here. I know bets as of right now, but I think a lot of people may actually look to bet Gore, right? It's you got him at plus odds here. And he has that knockout power. We've seen Fremd get finished, so I wouldn't. I can totally understand why someone would bet Gore here. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no. What I'm thinking is you have a guy on the prelims who debuted at UFC 28
and he's on the prelims. And then we have a guy in Gore who's 3-2 in his mixed martial arts career, and he's on the main card. Just scratching my head on that one. I don't even know why this is on the main card. I don't even know why Tresean Gore is in the UFC. Obviously he's reigning from the Ultimate Fighter, but like we haven't seen anything in this man to think that he's worthy of this spot. 0-2 in the UFC. This is clearly a spot here where if Tresean Gore doesn't win, he's probably getting cut off the yin yang here. So like you said, Dan, Gore can be that hammer, cannot be that nail. Is very vulnerable. He may land a few takedowns, and I think that's his path here, is trying to wrestle. But that's not something I'm going to rely on in a guy, who's so inexperienced. And a guy in Josh Fremd, if I'm not mistaken, he's also training at Factory X there.
Yep.
With Dustin Jacoby. So
and Brundage.
Yeah, so you know how we like those spots, like on the same card. If the energy's going well, who knows? But look, I mean, you can't knock the guy in Josh Fremd for losing his debut on the short notice. He did show a lot of liabilities there. Just the way he leaves his chin wide open. I think it could be there for Gore to clip him. There's just a lot of unknown variables in this fight, man. It's hard for me to find a lean here. Again, both guys, they just aren't the cream of the crop of the UFC. And like when you're putting your money on somebody, you gotta trust them. And I just don't trust either of these guys. I think either of these guys can get knocked out. I think both of these guys don't have the highest of IQ. And yeah, quite frankly, anything can happen in this fight. So for that reason, big fade all around for me. Max, anything to add on this one?
Yeah, no, I actually have a bet on this fight already locked in. I capped Fremd here around 70%. So I have a 2-unit bet on him at -170. I think he's a fine fighter all around. He's not great at anything. He has a very good kind of Factory X Muay Thai base, but he does a lot of jiu-jitsu and grappling training that you'd be surprised about. He's had a ton better strength of schedule than Tresean, like you guys had mentioned. He's fighting in LFA against RoboCop. I mean, he beat Joel Bauman, who was 4-0 or 4-1 at the time on Dana White looking for a fight. He's winning fights, main events in LFA, and there's a reason he's being put in those spots. I think that his first UFC fight, it wasn't with a full camp, and he fought a guy who's going to push pressure, push pace, and push wrestling. And he really didn't do a horrible job against it. He had great submission defense. He reversed Hernandez actually a couple times in that fight. And he jumped to a deep, deep guillotine at one point that he almost finished. I thought it was interesting that he'll go for stuff like that. And Tresean just should not be in the UFC at this point. This fight really shouldn't be in the UFC, in my opinion. This is a LFA co-main event type fight where you got the up-and-coming guy who's got a ton of potential and raw power versus the guy in Fremd who's got some experience in the organization. I think Gore needs 3 or 4 more fights to really do anything in the UFC, kind of hone in his skills. So I really like Fremd here. I feel bad for Gore. He's so athletic and powerful, and he's got so much raw talent. But like you said, he pumps his chest out because of it, and it's all a false front, and it kind of gives away that aura from him. I also like the fact that he just got starched by Brundage, and Fremd and Brundage are training partners. I think the IQ of Fremd in this matchup will be good because of it, and I do see him going for takedowns and really pushing a pace here. Gore also likes to throw a lot of naked strikes. The leg kick that Brundage knocked him out off of was just a leg kick where he keeps his head down the middle and straight up, and I think that could also happen here.
I love it.
You make some really good points. I agree with you, with Fremd being, he's been in big spots before, right? Like you mentioned, LFA main cards, main events, Dana White looking for a fight, right? I mean, that's how they really found him, got him in the UFC. They basically saw him fight. He fought in front of the boss, did enough to get the job done, and here he is. So I think that carries a lot of weight into matchups like this, especially on a main card, right? If this is buried somewhere on the prelims, might not matter as much, but I agree. I think I would lean Fremd in this spot. I love the conviction from you to put 2 units on him. Factory X is a great gym, right? Is that where he's training out of?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a great gym. Good spot. I really like that there. You guys have anything else to add for this one?
Yeah, I just want to add, I mean, and you guys already mentioned the big knockout of Cody Brundage over Gore. And mind you, that was only like 3.5, 4 months ago. So from a psychological standpoint, you've got to imagine that Gore is going to be coming in little hesitant, little weird. I look at this stature as well. And, God forbid if we do see a 3rd round and we have to watch 15 minutes of this fight, I expect Tresean Gore to be absolutely gassed, just based off of his physique, just the musculature that he carries. And yeah, man, I think Josh, like the more I think about it, like I feel like Josh Fremd, like he's gonna have that IQ, he's gonna have a great game plan coming in here. You know, like Max said, which is a fantastic point. When you have a training partner, right, that already knocked out an opponent, just gives a little bit of insight of what to expect. And I think that really is going to go a long way in this spot. Say what up to Snoopy. He's saying what's good for a little wake and bake this morning. But yeah, man, back-to-back Factor X fighters. It should be a fun, I guess, a somewhat semi-violent, opening main card.
And the big thing with that Cody Brundage-Gore fight is how Brundage fought him. He pushed takedowns. He pushed clinch grappling to tire out Gore. And that is what kind of led to Gore being lazy and not moving his head and not keeping his defense high like he always does. So I really do think, I mean, Fremd round 3 could be a very interesting play here.
I like that.
I like
and Dan,
it,
you
yeah.
know, for what it's worth, Fremd is the longer guy. He's like 6'4". I think Gore is listed as 6 foot. So in those grappling exchanges, I know you really like looking at that length there.
You know, it's a great point. I think Fremd seems to be the more well-rounded guy. So I wouldn't, you know, Gore definitely has the power to put Fremd out, and you know, Fremd has been finished there. So that you know, that's why I think I actually lean this one to go either over 1.5 for sure. I mean, I can see this going the distance. Gore is going to have to be a little bit more tentative here because he does not want to get knocked out again. He was starting to tee off in his last fight and then just got caught. You know, again, no head movement, no defense, just kind of throwing all gas, no brakes. So I think he needs a win here. He needs the game plan. He doesn't, you know, I get he loves to put on like, you know, exciting fights, but you know, you got to save your career first before you can think maybe just get the W. Having said that, I mean, like I said, I like the over here. I like Fremd. So it'd be an interesting fight.
And if I'm not wrong, Tresean Gore trains out of American Top Team. Is that right?
Yeah, but it's like if I'm not mistaken, it's like a smaller branch in like Georgia. If I'm not mistaken, like there's really no quality talent at this location.
All right, cool. All right, good to know.